Hey guys, welcome to episode number 87. Today is Friday, so it's Fan Friday, and I wanted to do something a little bit different today. I call this What's in Your Cabinet, and I would love for other people to share what's in their cabinet. And the idea here is to bust out all of the great things, the things that you love most, that are sitting around in your cabinets that relate to your aquarium or turtle hobbies. So I'm just going to go through all of the things that you see here really quickly, explain a little bit about them and why I love them so much. So I'll start over here with the Python hose. This is a water changing system. You hook it up to your tap, and it uses a venturi siphon to either push water into your tank or take water out of your tank. It means that you no longer have to lug buckets of water to and from your aquarium, and there's no spills. It does use more water than you put in or take out of your tank, but it's a great tool if you have multiple tanks to do water changes on. The next here is Malaysian driftwood. If you guys haven't used Malaysian driftwood, I would recommend buying a couple pieces. I have extra pieces just laying around in case I ever need to throw them into a new tank that I'm setting up or whatever. I bought mine from a seller on eBay called a Pet House, I believe. So go check them out. Fairly good prices. It's heavy stuff because it sinks naturally. So there's no curing of driftwood. You can just throw it in your tank and it works. Next up is just a regular desk lamp, actually. I have 2 or 3 of these things, and you wouldn't believe how helpful they are. I've always got them set up in one place or another to light something or other, and they're pretty invaluable. I actually bought 2 or 3 of them when I was doing some guppy breeding, and I had small tanks that I wanted to light, and I figured this was a nice mobile solution for that. Next is Novaqua Plus. This is from Cordon. It's a water conditioner, and I buy these 2 or 3 at a time, and they're great. I mean, I live on city water, so it takes all of the chlorine and chloridamides out of the water for me, so I never have to worry when I'm doing a water change. And they last me a good few months each, so pretty good stuff. Next up is a feeding ring, and how this works is it's 2 parts. There's the styrofoam, or there's the foam, hard, rigid foam on the outside, and that floats. And then you just got a plastic interior, and you throw that in your tank, and you feed all of your food, all of your flake food, on the inside of that ring, and this floats in the water, and it makes sure that all of the fish come to this one spot to feed, and all of the food doesn't make a mess. This is especially helpful if you have an overflow in the tank, because the overflow would just suck all of your flake food into it. So it's great. It doesn't waste food, and the fish get trained actually to go to that one spot to eat. Next up is a turkey baster. Again, this is an invaluable tool if you have small tanks. It's great to use instead of a vacuum if you're just looking to get some heavy debris out. It's great if you're hatching brine shrimp, or if you have any cultures going. And I find it's one of those tools that I have multiple of. I have more turkey basters for aquariums than I do for turkeys. So that's how great they are. Obviously, I have different size nets. These are just the standard type of nets, but I also have the fine mesh white nets as well, the smaller ones, which are good for brine shrimp. Obviously, these ones are good for catching basically any type of fish. So I do have multiple sizes on hand. I have multiple handle lengths on hand, and it's something you can't really do without. And next is a Cordon breather bag. Sorry, there's a little bit of glare here. These are fantastic, and if you haven't heard about them, I'll tell you. Cordon makes a breather bag in multiple different sizes, and the theory is that oxygen can enter the bag and CO2 can exit the bag through the walls of the plastic. So it's watertight. You fill it with water, you put your fish in it, but then it can sit for prolonged periods of time without an oxygen injection, without any additives in the bag. They can literally go for a couple of days in the bag, and you don't have to worry about them running out of oxygen. You do still have to worry about ammonia building up in the bag and things like that. So they can't go forever. But I have heard of people using cordon breather bags when their fish are making longer trips. So those are great for shipping fish, for transporting fish. And I haven't been able to use them as much as I've wanted to, but they are a great addition to my cabinet. Next up, I've got a couple different types of food here. I have covered these in previous videos, so I'm not going to get too far into it, but I will never buy flake food again from the fish store, and that's because I was introduced to Ken's Fish. It's kensfish.com. He's local here in Massachusetts, and he's got a variety of flake food that he makes himself by the pound. And supposedly they've got better ingredients. It's a fresher product, and it's way cheaper because he sells it by the pound, and he does it for a reasonable price. So what I've got here is just a spirulina flake. It's heavy on the spirulina, and that's good for things like my mollies. And then I've also got something here called golden pearls. They're very small. This is 100 to 200 microns, and they are great floating food for fry, basically. They're small enough that fry can eat them. So Ken's Fish, check them out if you're looking for bulk fish food. I order about once a year from them. Next up, a mortar and pestle. This is great for crushing flake foods or crushing pellet foods or any number of different applications where you need to decrease the size of whatever you're working on. I use that fairly frequently, and it needs to be washed out, but I keep it under my cabinet. Again, I don't use it for food. I don't have one for food. I have it for the aquarium. Next up is a specimen jar. These things are great when you're trying to catch and examine fish, and they're really handy when you're going to bag fish as well because it has the two spouts on the edges, and you can just dump everything straight into a bag. Next up, I always have a few tubes of GE silicone #1 clear. This stuff is 100% silicone. It's absolutely safe for aquarium use as long as it's cured. It doesn't say that it's aquarium safe because of lawsuits probably. But if you guys buy silicone in the fish store at the pet shop, stop it. This stuff is so much cheaper. You get it in large tubes. You can get it at Home Depot or Lowe's for a couple bucks. And that's what I use on every single one of my aquarium projects. I've never had any troubles. It's the best. I always have some laying around ready to use. Next is a simple scrub brush. These are great just to scrub the walls of aquariums, get the heavy debris off. I use it on occasion. I should use it more than I do. Next, we have just a couple funnels. Again, these are good if you've got food that you've crushed and you're trying to funnel it into a small container. Again, I use those whenever I'm working with the food. Next up is pantyhose. These have runs in them, so whenever my girlfriend is done with pantyhose, it goes to me to dye. And what I do is I cut it up. I use it to fill. I use it as a sock material to fill with activated carbon. I use them, as fry traps, so that or fry protection, so that fry can't pass through something. It really is kind of the all-purpose material for holding things in or out in an aquarium. And the great thing is, when you're done with it, you can just dispose it and cut up another piece. Next up, we have filter floss. Again, this is a product you can buy at the aquarium store for a large amount of money, or you can just go to someplace like Walmart and buy an entire bag for a couple bucks. So I usually buy a bag, like a medium-sized bag, and it lasts me a few years. And that's much better than buying the smaller bags for much more money at the pet store. The next is simply just an office scale. This is great for weighing animals or weighing food or weighing anything that you're looking to sell. Especially if you're trying to print your packing labels for things. You can get a pretty accurate estimate of exactly how much it's going to weigh. So you can just drop your stuff off at the post office and don't have to worry about it. The next two are also pretty good utility items. Just some simple fishing line. You wouldn't believe how often you can use fishing line in an aquarium, of all places, to prop things up, to kind of hold things in place. It's something that I always keep around just in case. The next is just a simple clamp. These are great for holding tubes in place, your returns, for temporarily holding things against the side of an aquarium or whatnot. These come in a giant package, and they're fairly cheap as well, so I always have those around. Next up, this is just a simple scraping tool for the inside of the aquarium to remove algae. It was fairly cheap. I think I got it on clearance at PetSmart one day. It's really the only reason I bought it, but I kind of fell in love with it because it was pretty easy to use. It made cleaning the glass a fairly simple job. The one thing I don't like about it is the blade isn't replaceable. If it used a more standard blade size, that would be preferred. So, but still, an invaluable tool when you're going to clean an aquarium. Next up is just brine shrimp eggs. I buy these in a big tub, and that way I've got them, and they do slowly reduce their hatch rate over time if you hold on to them for too many years. But they're pretty good. They keep fairly well if you keep them dark and cool, and keep them out of moisture. And those are great to hatch for basically any sort of baby fish. So that's always a good thing to have around, just in case. They do sell them in smaller sizes, but that's the most cost-efficient way to go if you're going to use them all. And then kind of going along with that is actually this little ingenious device that I haven't used as much as I should. It's a brine shrimp hatch and feed. I believe Tom's Aquarium company is the one who makes it. And basically you suction this to the side of your tank, you add a little bit of salt to the water inside of it, and you put a bubbler on it. And then you add your eggs, and you let your eggs hatch. And I guess the way it works is this chamber has all of the eggs in it, and then all of the brine shrimp that hatch kind of swim up this column here. And you see it's all black plastic except for this top piece right here. And that clear plastic allows the brine shrimp to kind of swim themselves out of the hatching feed. So they hatch inside, they swim out, and then they're constantly feeding the tank where all of your fish are located. So it's a pretty cool little thing. The interesting part about it is because of the way it's designed, the salt actually stays within this chamber. It doesn't exit out into the tank, so it can be placed in a freshwater tank. And then you can just pull this whole thing out and wash it out, and then set it back in and let it go again. I guess the reason I don't use it is because it's kind of on a small scale here. So I mean, it could probably only feed like a 5 or a 10 gallon tank. And typically I'm going to be looking for something that feeds more than that. So there are advantages to doing this. There are advantages to just hatching them yourselves in a larger container. And then the last one here I have is just an automatic fish feeder. This one's from Eheim, and it is one of the best ones that I have. I have mentioned this in previous videos before. The reason I like it is because of the big drum that it has, and right now I have turtle food in it, but you can easily put flake food as well. So yeah, I always have automatic fish feeders on hand as well. Because you never know when you're going to go away, and there's no one available to feed your fish. So this was what's in your cabinet. I'd love to see videos from you guys, video responses of what you guys have in your cabinets. All of the things that you love, all of the things that you use all the time, all the things that you couldn't live without in the aquarium or the turtle hobby. So hit me up. Hope you guys enjoyed.